For sure. So I would say the first is next week on March 23rd at 6 p.m. we will have our Real Word Youth Panel. And so we had Chris and Vanessa who are in our video that we watched this morning. And so they're a part of what's called our Real Word Youth Panel. And this is a group of current and former youth in foster care, and they're trained to share their experiences about their time in the foster care system with the general public like you all, because oftentimes there's misconceptions about what it means to be in the foster care system, what life is like for our youth in the foster care system, and that's why they had this. It was founded 20 years ago, and they've been doing this work for 20 years to talk with everybody about their personal experience and to really set our hearts on fire as to why we should really look at the foster care system and say, how can we get involved? So I would say that's the best way. And also just attending events. We have an upcoming fundraiser in May. We have another in June. And we have our yearly Starry Starry Night. And so, Vanessa, I don't know if you've been to this fundraiser, but it's going to be at the Rady Shell this year. Wonderful venue. And it's an absolutely magical night. Just this last year, we raised $2 million at this fundraiser, with 5 people each donating $100,000. So, yes. Yes, thank you so much. Yes, so the reason, some of you all may have missed the presentation, or some of y'all are just curious to hear more. So let's just have an overview. That's a wonderful question. So again, we're with Voices for Children, and we're an organization that's been around for 40 years in San Diego since 1980. And we train and support what's called court-appointed special advocates, also known as CASAs, like Vanessa here. And our volunteers, what they do is speak up for the youth or individual youth in the foster care system. And how they do that is advocating to specific professionals on their cases, and also writing biannual court reports to the judge so that they can make the best decision on that youth's case.
So Lisa, does that help you understand a little bit? So I shared that I was a CASA for, since October 2020. I did the training during COVID, and it takes Paul reminded me, about 35 to 40 hours. And even though it was online, I did have a cohort, and it's very comprehensive. I mean, they interview you beforehand just to kind of ask about your own personal experiences and how you feel about things, and, are you up for this? Because it is a big commitment. I think Paul said it's 10 hours a month that you're, required to spend time with your child, but it also includes any communications you have with the other care providers. You're in contact with the HHSA social worker, any advocating for them in terms of education. Like I shared that for my girl. I asked for a individual education plan assessment because I'm concerned, well, attendance has been a problem, but it's also, and for a lot of these kids, COVID is just so isolating, as it has been for all children. But yeah, that you're consistently there, and making time to get connected, realizing that your expectations from them can't be very great, because they're dealing with so much. Just understanding that trust is a big issue for them. So you just have to kind of keep showing up and not expect a lot. But yeah, I've learned so much from my girl just because, when we connect and share our experiences, it is growing for them, but also for ourselves.
Yes, Roy.
I'm trying to find out if there's anything in between giving money and actually being a CASA person that we can do.
Got it. So Roy asks, is there anything besides financially giving to support our CASA program? That's a wonderful question. The answer is yes, of course. So just like I mentioned earlier, we do have our events. And so the reason I really harp on those events is because we've been around for 40 years. There are still people I talk to this day that have no idea who we are. And we're a part of a national program. The Costa is a national program. It's in 25 states across the country. People don't know who we are. And so that's why in these conversations like this, I look at you all as our community partners, because you are going to be our eyes and ears on the ground to say, that person will make an amazing Costa. That person has the heart and the time to really give to youth and make sure that their needs are met by everybody involved with their case. And so even if it's just talking about our program, it's sustaining community partnerships with churches like your own here. It's attending our events. And maybe if you know somebody or a group of people that wants a presentation, you can always come to us and say, hey, there's a group of people that I think would benefit from hearing about you all, because that is how we continue to spread the word, is that each and every person begins to do that with us and for us. And so one of the things that I heard when I first took this job is that our COSA program is one of the best kept secrets in the child welfare circle. We don't want it to be a secret anymore. No, we're done. We want people to, when they hear foster care, they'll think COSA. They'll think Voices for Children. And it takes a critical mass of folks who care to be able to do that.
So yeah, the CASA thing is a specific thing, you know, in terms of program. But yeah, just talking about it, because spreading the word is important. And I was just going to share that although maybe a lot of people don't know about it, the kids do. They all want a CASA. You know, it's like it means something to them because they know that they're special and that they get someone who's going to advocate for them all the way through. Like, are you going to talk to my social worker? Can you explain to them that I need, like one thing was getting glasses for my girl or whatever. But, you know, that's something I think significant that I learned right away was my girl said, oh, yeah, other people want a CASA too. I'm so lucky, you know?
Yeah. And just to further emphasize that, Vanessa, who was on the video, she's 19 right now. She's moved 11 times in her time in the foster care system. Those are all new adults every single time they move. That is not the situation to build trust with adults. Your CASAs will stay with you every single time you move, because that way you can build that trusting relationship with them and you can really begin to get to know them, those intimate details, so you can advocate for them to every single professional on their case.
So I've thought about doing this for quite a while. So for me, it's getting kind of more nuts and bolts for me. I understand the 10 to 15 hour commitment. Can you tell more about, for example, if I'm recently retired, I know I want to do some traveling. If I'm going to be communicating with a school or with other people, is it all things I can do by computer, by phone, aside from the time with the kids?
You can answer that.
Yeah, I mean, during COVID, actually, pretty much everything has been online. Although, you know, when possible, I've been able to meet with my girl. You know, it's hard because, like, people keep changing, but, you know, everything can be done by phone, emails. You get assigned a supervisor who is kind of like, you know, really important to you because you run things through that person, and they explain how to connect to different people. So yeah, everything can be done pretty much online or on the phone, Zooms. You know, we have something called, what is it called? You know, like family meetings, you know? Yeah, CFTs. And yeah, everything has acronyms, but really that's like how I met my girl's dad, you know? Because he would come to the meetings, and that's also where all the health, different care providers were. So again, it was all by Zoom. So yeah, and if you need to be away, like I'm gonna have surgery, so I prepared the team to let them know that, you know, I won't be able to drive. I mean, I see my girl weekly because it's kind of a special circumstance for her right now. But yeah, it is something that you don't always have to be always there, but you just need to be consistently there, right?
Yeah, we ask our volunteers to meet with their youth at least once a month. And so just like Vanessa said, like meeting weekly is not necessary. It may, in some special circumstances, require that. But we ask that once a month because oftentimes, number one, that's what our youth may need, is that consistency. And if they know you're going to show up once a month, they'll know and they'll look at you and they'll ask of that. Nothing else. And so that is all that our youth need, is that stability and consistency, because there's just so much transition in their lives.
All right. Well, thank you. Thank you, those of you who are watching. And thank you, Paul and Vanessa, for sharing. And I'm sure any further questions outside on the patio will be more than welcome. So,
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you all.